Something about it was off. Yeah, I'm talking about coffee. The flavors were flat and it was puzzling me. It's becoming really, really frustrated. I'm like, not again? What's going on here? I just couldn't get it. This was a really, really good coffee, supposedly. I tried everything: slow pour, fast pour, different grinders, different filters. The coffee just wasn't working for some odd reason. I couldn't put a hand on it. I was still puzzled. But you would think that an Ethiopian white honey roasted medium roast, but played a little bit more like a lighter roast, was going to be amazing. It wasn't. And again, I just keep coming back to myself like, not this shit again. I keep talking and preaching about this whole thing about like coffee's this, you can conquer that if you just change this variable or two. But something about it, it just didn't work out for me. I don't know really what it was. So, one thing I did notice though, when I was actually brewing this cup of coffee, was the slow drawdown. Extremely slow. I kid you not. I was thinking about all the ways to speed it up. Fast filter, coarser ground. And when I did that and tasted the coffee, it didn't get any better. It actually got worse. And I just kept going down that rabbit hole because of my routine. My routine is everything, right? We have these routines. We have a 2 pour, 30 seconds for medium roast, or 1 minute for darker roast. We do 2 pulses, done in less than 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, depending on how much coffee we're actually dealing with. I know my shit. I know you know your shit. But something about this coffee was just not working. And then I started thinking about it a little bit more. This coffee presents itself in a way that I'm not used to. I should have just let the coffee be. But the key thing here is that I was observant. I was observant in how the drawdown was happening. And then I started to play a little bit more. I started to think about all the things that I do. And I wondered, is coffee kind of like meat? I'll get there. What I mean by that is that we don't cook things the same way, depending on the application, depending on the food and whatever, right? For instance, we have a steak. We get it to 135 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're done, right? But then we have a brisket where we have to cook it for 6 to 12, 13 hours. And then we have to rest it for another half a day to a day for it to really be nice and tender. Never really thought about that too much with coffee. It's a bean, you roast it or you get it and then you enjoy it and then you kind of just let it be what it is. But all coffees are different. They can all be presented differently. And then when I started to think about it a little bit more, it started to make a little bit more sense. Not that I have to make sense of things in order to really get it, because there's going to be times where you just don't get it. I don't think I got it all the way with this particular situation. What I mean by that is that it's a slow drawdown. So don't fight with it. Why is it a slow drawdown? Is it a light roast? Is that the reason why? Is it Ethiopian? Is it white honey that it still has some of the mucilage still on the coffee? Those are good key indicators. Things that I will jot down in my book of things to take in consideration when it comes to this whole coffee thing. Because some of those things, that's extremely important because that tells you how to really approach the coffee. See, here's the thing here. I was so stuck on my routine that the coffee had to get done in less than 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes at the most, that I didn't realize that probably this coffee needed to be grinded finer. Maybe if I did grind it a little bit finer, it wouldn't present like bitter notes. Probably the acidity will shine a little bit more. Probably the chocolate notes, the sweetness will come in just enough to where I'm like, there it is. And that's what happened. I start taking my blinders off. I got my reps in with the coffee. And I just let it be. So my brews were actually averaging between 3 to 5 minutes. I even remember one time I just went kind of crazy and I put a metal filter inside of it. And then I put a Harrier V60 slow ass filter inside of it. And I grinded the shit out of it. I went as fine as reasonably possible. That brew took about 5 minutes to brew. I was kind of scared, but excited at the same time. Didn't know really what to expect. But the coffee held up. It was more juicy, more lively. It was something that I can drink from time to time, and I knew that I was going to get something spectacular. I kept doing that. I stopped worrying about the time, my routine that actually got me here in the first place of being frustrated with this coffee. A couple brews later, I didn't go too crazy with it. I didn't do all that double filter penetration. That didn't sound right. Double filtration. But the thing about it was that it just took its time to actually brew. And I wasn't worried about that. Because every time I drank it after that, the coffee was lively. It was tasty. It was something that I wanted to drink. And it got me thinking about my whole routine, my whole thought process, the way that I've been doing things for the longest. Is that a lot of times I push the coffee into my routine, not let the coffee talk to me to treat it a certain way. See, that's the thing about this whole thing. We have gadgets, we have manipulation tools in order to bring the best out of coffee. But then we don't realize, especially when we are less observant, and thank God I was more observant in this case with the slow drawdown and what that did with the coffee, is that we put everything around our own routines. I'm not saying don't do that. 9 times out of 10, it may just be right. But I guess what I'm saying is that we have to take in consideration of what we're actually dealing with. We have to see what the coffee is telling us what we're trying to do. And if we do that, and we stay focused, stay grounded in this whole approach to coffee, that's going to fill our toolbox. That's going to get us there in a way to where we will probably more than anything enjoy the coffee. Because that's really what it comes down to, us enjoying the coffee as much as we can. Those are the key takeaways here for me. And if you're frustrated with coffee, and if you feel the coffee is not working, just step back a little bit. Look at the coffee, smell the coffee, see how it actually draws down. Don't look at that as a limiting factor. Also realize that if something goes a lot longer than anticipated, that doesn't mean it's going to be crap. In this case, it worked out just fine. That slow drawdown, the way that the coffee has had the time to actually do its thing, that's what made it magical. That's what made it somewhat special to me. And as I sit here and ponder and think about all the things that I've gone through this whole week of trying to get there with this coffee, those are the biggest takeaways. Let the coffee be the star. We can't forget that. And that also means if it wants to be brewed differently than what we're accustomed to, let it be. Because we may be surprised on that other side of how awesome and magical it can be. So let me know what you think. Do you have this issue sometimes when you're actually drinking your cup of coffee? Have you thrown everything to the wayside and just said, fuck it, I'm just going to let it do what it do? And then those are some of the times, the magical cups that you didn't realize that you're drinking because you got out of your way. Something about coffee really is mesmerizing to me. Yes, it's about life quite a bit, but something about it just talking to us, being present, understanding for what it is, and pinpointing, picking up on little things, the subtleties. That's where the magic is with all of this. So yeah, just let coffee do its thing. And more than likely, it'll surprise you. Not your routine. Let's break that. Talk to you later. Bye.